What is going on Patreon? We are here with a 32 pick mock draft. All 32 teams. Well, not all 32 teams. Some traded out, but we got Bob here. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just ready to get into our first Patreon Dynasty Rewind mock draft. So for the NFL.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I'm gonna give it a rundown of how we're gonna do this. Bob's gonna pick defense. I'm gonna pick offense. It's gonna be we're gonna discuss the team needs, and then we're gonna just decide what they need if it's offense or if it's defense first, and then we're gonna make the pick, and then we're gonna discuss the player. So it's gonna be pretty straightforward, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully we can do more of these to come, and add Nate to it too.
sure.
Sponsored by Watermelon Mountain Dew tonight.
All right.
It is terrible. Oh
Better
God,
than what's on your fucking hat.
Jimmy John's. Okay,
Yeah.
Jersey Mike's is better.
Sure. Fine.
So let's start 101. Jaguars. Jaguars obvious pick here. Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there's no other pick, right?
It's chalk. Yep. Call it a day.
Yeah, this is where it gets dicey. This is where it gets a little dicey. The 102 of the Jets. They're definitely going to go quarterback here, in my opinion. But what quarterback do they take? Do you want to give some opinion on this?
Yeah. I mean, I hope, because I'm a big mock draft guy, I really hope that they move Darnold before this pick so it's a little more clear that they are going quarterback. But I mean, they
Definitely.
could go, they could add to the O line with Penny Sewell here. There's not really, if there was like a generational talent at edge, I could see them making a move there and riding it out with Darnold under a new head coach and a new offensive system. But I tend
But
to,
there's not.
right, exactly. So this year it's kind of an odd year at the defensive end position. So I mean, I like quarterback. I'm kind of 50-50. I'm still a believer in Darnold, but you kind of have to look at, is the quarterback talent that's available in the draft better than what you could get for Darnold or better than Darnold straight up. So I think I think they would probably go Fields right now. I think Wilson,
Hmm.
I think he has that high ceiling. He's a talented prospect, but I think the competitive level that Fields played at is going to give him the edge in that department.
Okay. Okay. I agree with that. I would put Fields above Wilson as well. I've watched some Fields tape. I've watched Wilson tape. I like Wilson a lot, but I do think that Fields is the better talent with his legs. So Fields it is. 103, we have an interesting pick. It's the Miami Dolphins. They've recently come out and said that they love Devonta Smith and said that he's the best player like in the draft. I really think it's Devonta Smith here.
I hate it. I hate him that early. I really hope they find a trade partner to trade down with. For me,
Mm-mm.
he's a great prospect. I like him a lot. I'm gonna like him for my fantasy teams, but at 3, that's just way too high
It's
for
outrageous.
the prospect that he is. I mean, it's just way too high for me. Um,
It is for me too. But
so I
like,
would I would I would want to trade down here if I'm them, but um, if they're gonna pick anybody, it does seem like Smith, and like I said, they'll probably trade down to get him as
mhm.
opposed to taking him at 3 because there'll probably be a team like Carolina that wants to maybe move up to 3 to take their quarterback, um, or possibly get in the Penny Sewell hunt before the Bengals for sure take him at 5.
Mhm. Penei Sewell would be a good pick here too. I think. I really think that they should try to trade this pick with Tua and get Watson. That's
I
that's my thoughts.
100% agree. I'm
That
not
would
I'm not on the
be a
Tua train,
dynasty.
so yeah, the start of one for sure.
So, but yeah, we're gonna give him Devonta Smith here because Brian. We don't like it though, but Brian Flores has come out and said that he is a once in a lifetime player. Has praised him at the Senior Bowl for saying that he would take him over a quarterback with the first pick. Like that's insanity to me. So,
Yeah,
um,
wild.
Ugh. Bob, I didn't like that pick, but I had to. All
I
right,
know,
I'm
man.
gonna give it.
Way too
I'm
early.
gonna give this. Okay, it was way too early, but I'm gonna give this one to you because I don't think they want a quarterback with Justin Fields not there. So let's go
I
defense,
agree.
and who are they gonna build it with?
I really
Bob,
like
tell me who they're gonna build it with.
my um my one of my favorite picks here is Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. He is, the epitome of what you want as a corner. I don't think he necessarily has that huge shutdown upside that you want, but he does fine in coverage, and he's a run support guy too, so he'll come up and come out of the secondary and hit a guy in the mouth
He's
and tackle him
really
to
good
the
at run
ground.
support.
He's a guy that in terms of IDP, corners aren't usually that viable because they don't make tackles because either they're not willing to go up and make a tackle or they're just not near the ball. But Sertan he just has an uncanny knack for finding himself near the ball, making plays, and I think you look at Atlanta; they were the worst team in passing yards against last season. They were the worst team in yards per pass completion, I believe. So they are, they need a guy who, and Terrell is fine. I think he's more of a secondary piece. He's your second guy opposite of your
Yeah,
your guy.
I agree.
Um, but I just Sertan, I think he's being overlooked as a one of the blue chip prospects of this draft. Just because he didn't get a lot of shine, even though he played at Alabama, he's not getting the shine I think he deserves. But he was the first draft profile I did at Fantasy Six Pack, and that was because I watched his tape and I loved it. I mean, he was like I said, I don't think he's that lockdown Jalen Ramsey type, but man, he's a great prospect. And like I said, the run support is huge. On a defense that needs help in that regard too. You
Mhm.
kind of kill two birds with one stone with that. Same kind of thing as the Jets. If there was a generational prospect at edge here, they could do that too because their pass rush is garbage.
Patrick
Um,
Jones the second.
Way too early. I,
He's
I I
generational.
I like him, but he's not quite that high on my
These are
list.
inside jokes, guys. Listening, these are inside jokes between Bob and I. We really like Patrick Jones.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so as you'll see coming, he'll probably be a
He'll come
first
up.
round
He'll
pick
come up
for us.
later. He'll come up later
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So Patrick Surtain, my thoughts on him: very good corner. He played 3 years at Alabama starting. That's
Yep.
impressive for me. He was good too. He was not just like he was good against SEC receivers. That's impressive. Uh, he's good in man coverage. He's perfect for a cover three system in the NFL. And Falcons run kind of like base Seattle defense they were running, and then they switched it up to a Tampa 2 mid-season. And I think they're perfect for Patrick Surtain. So I think that he's versatile for a scheme. So it
Yep.
doesn't matter what they run, he can run it.
Yep.
And then speaking
Agreed.
about running it, we're going to run this pick real quick. It's Penei Sewell. Joe Burrow needs help on the offensive line. Penei Sewell is the best offensive tackle prospect we've seen in a while. Sorry, excuse me. And Patrick Surtain, Penei Sewell from Oregon, he can be a right tackle, he can be a left tackle, he can be a left guard, he can be a right guard. He has versatility, and that's what they need on their offensive line.
Yep. The only player he's not already better than is Jonah Williams for them, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say Jonah Williams only has the edge because he's played in the NFL. But as a prospect, I take Sewell over Williams. But I mean,
Same.
he's going to be a day one improvement for whoever he takes over for. I think he'll end up at left tackle. Um, but yeah, I mean, too many people mocking, wide receivers, tight ends, and like, yeah, it's cool, it's sexy, but man, you got to keep Joe Burrow alive, and not drafting one of the best tackle prospect in this draft, and one of the best to come out in the last couple of years. I think that's a big mistake.
I agree. So let's throw it to you on this one. Do you think the Eagles go defense or offense here based on team
You
needs?
know, I, I really think, um, personally, I want to say that they go offense here. And
Okay.
I think they want to get I think they're sick of missing on wide receiver. I think they want to, it's a little early to call Rager a complete miss, but he's not that guy to me. Um, the year before they picked Jaws over DK Metcalf, all that narrative spinning and all that. Last year they picked Rager over Jefferson. But
Yeah.
man, I think they want to nail the wide receiver, and they need to. I mean, they have, they still have the ghost of Alshon Jeffrey, I believe, on their roster, and then they have Rager and JJ Arcega-Whiteside. But for me, those guys aren't it. So I like to think they go wide receiver here. And I feel like in most mocks I have them taking Smith, with Dolphins passing on him to take Sewell. But if he's there and he's there for them, I think he's a guy on their radar for sure. Otherwise, if they do go defense, I think they look at Caleb Farley, corner out of Virginia Tech. There's not a lot of, like I said, there's not a lot of great edge prospects here like they could use. Then the only other one on my radar for defense would be Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
So any of those three, Chase, Parsons, and then Farley would probably be on my radar the most.
I know it's a little high, but I think you have to consider Pitts here. You have to. They're a passing team. Dallas Goedert, he's got the drops. He's got drop-itis, man. But he's good for fantasy. Yeah, I know. But they like to run 2 tight end schemes. Kyle Pitts is not a true tight end. He's not a true tight end, though. This is true.
Sure.
But Kyle Pitts is not a true tight end. He's a seam wide receiver slot. He's Chase Claypool.
Right.
But we're going Jamar Chase because that's a smart pick. I'm just giving out hypothetical scenarios.
Yeah,
if they want to fill 2 positions with 1.
Yeah, arguable. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, like you said, he kind of fills that. He almost plays more wide receiver slot than he does tight end, like the traditional tight end. Kind of.
And it lets Dallas Goedert kick in to block.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it kind of, like I said, I just don't know if they run that same type of system if he fits that. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I just think I'm not big on tight ends this early. Although I do think Pitts will be a huge impact on an offense. But, I'm not huge on him in the top 10 personally, based on what these teams need. I'm not huge on him in the top 10 more than just his talent. I think it's just based on what the teams need. And, I think there's always a bit of a delta between team need and best available talent. You kind of have to ride both. You can't necessarily sit in one camp or the other. So, yeah, I don't hate it. On to your Lions, man. This is your pick. This is all you.
This is all me. So they just got Jared Goff in a trade. I'm going to eliminate Zach Wilson at 3. Zach Wilson at 7 is nice. He fell there. He would be a good pick to sit behind Goff for a year or 2 and just go out and gunsling it while they decide to build it around him. That would be my first choice is Zach Wilson. But if we're deciding that Jared Goff is a quarterback, let's say this. Jared Goff is a quarterback. I have to pick a player now that's not a quarterback. So there's Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, Rashawn Slater, who I'm very high on. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the Fighting Warrior from Notre Dame. But Micah Parsons is a name here too. So we're gonna throw it to you, and we're gonna choose defense. I'll be right back. You give him the pick. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
We're going defense.
Man. All right. Well, if we're going defense, for me, it's definitely going to be Micah Parsons. I think he's a guy who can set a tone on the defense. He's going to set that fight kneecaps mentality. And, he's kind of a prospect. A lot of people say, he's the best linebacker prospect since Luke Kuechly. Not personally, in my opinion. To me, he's more of a he's not really a traditional Mike linebacker to me. He's more of a guy who will kind of line up all over the place, line up on the end of the line and pass rush here and there. Um, and then, I don't, like I said, and I think the reason why he's not a real great Mike is sometimes he has issues with play recognition. So if there's any misdirection on plays, that's usually where I see him tend to struggle a little bit in terms of getting after the ball carrier. But there's times where if it's a straight stretch play, he finds his way through traffic plenty fine. I like him, and I think the big thing about him, he's going to set a tone on that defense that Dan Campbell is looking for. So Micah Parsons has been one of my favorite early defensive locks to the Lions in my mock drafts. Your thoughts on Micah Parsons there?
I like it. He can be an off-ball linebacker. He can be a on-the-line linebacker. He can be anything you want him to be. You just got to let him grow in the one position you want him to play in and let him play. I think he's best at a weak side linebacker role where he doesn't have to sift through all the garbage.
Agreed.
Yeah, so give me Micah Parsons on that defense. Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. I like that pick, Bob. Thank you for giving me my Lions the justice of giving him Micah Parsons because I really like him. Carolina Panthers need a quarterback, and we have plenty of quarterbacks left, man. There's plenty. We usually, when I do a mock draft, I usually have the teams that need quarterbacks trade up, and then there's 4 quarterbacks,
Right.
1 through 4, because that's how it usually plays out. But here, I'm gonna pick them a quarterback, Trey Lance. Trey Lance fits their offense.
Really?
He fits what they want. He is a mobile quarterback. He has a cannon for an arm. He complements Christian McCaffrey as a runner. I think he fits their offense perfectly. I would love Trey Lance in Carolina. That is my dream landing spot for Trey Lance. And DJ Moore with Trey Lance, to die for. You saw what Teddy did.
Yeah, well, and I have Zach Wilson right now is my quarterback pick for them, and I just think, he's a little more, he's still raw like Lance is, and probably needs maybe a year or at least a few weeks to kind of sit behind Bridgewater. I don't think he's going to be a day one guy, but yeah, I don't hate it. Like I said, I would take Wilson over Lance. We'll see how the next few picks play out if my next quarterback picking team is still able to look at quarterbacks by the time we get to them. So
definitely. This team up next, the Denver Broncos, they have a lot of needs as well. They have so many needs. They have a need at corner. They have a need at edge. They have a need at linebacker. They have a need at quarterback because Drew Lock is not the answer. They have a need at interior lineman. They need offensive tackle. They need wide receiver. They need everything, man. What are we mocking them? What are we giving them? Defense or offense?
For me, this is a smash defensive pick with Caleb Farley. This is the exact type of linebacker that Vic Fangio will want on his defense because that lockdown type ability is something that really thrives in his style of defense. He likes having that corner that can kind of take one, not necessarily the side of the field away, but he can at least take a weapon away, no problem. And I think he might take a year to develop, which kind of sucks because I think Fangio only has about a year left on his hot seat. So if they don't perform this year, they're a team that I could see going quarterback, but it sounds like they're at least kind of okay with luck for another year. But who knows? I feel like they're both kind of attached at the hip in a way, like, hey, you're either going to sink or swim together. And if Fangio's out, Lock's out, and if we're not, because if they stink, they're going to stink. They're going to be probably a top 5, top 6 pick next year. But at least they'll have a nice corner that's able to kind of step into a mold. And I think he could be fine in any scheme. I don't think he's real scheme dependent. My pro comp for him was actually Richard Sherman.
Same.
He's just kind of got that shutdown dog to him. He can get a little handsy. He's probably going to have a few holding calls or a few PI calls early in his career. But he has that ceiling of a guy who can really change a defense by shutting one weapon down. No problem.
Yep. I agree. I like Caleb Farley. I might have a different corner above him, but that's for another day. Um, but this next pick is fueled by Jerry Jones and his love for offensive weapons for Dak Prescott, and for giving them Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
Kyle
I
Pitts in
hey,
Dallas. It
I'm
is
fine with
perfect.
that. Yep.
It's
I
perfect,
think I
man.
think
They're gonna
that's
ignore their
it.
needs and go Pitts.
Right. Well, and credit to him. He did the same thing with CD last year. They did not need CD Lamb, but it's like, shit, he's available right now. Hell yeah, I'll take the best offensive weapon. And that, the thing
Mm-hmm.
with Jerry is he wants an exciting offense. He does not want the offense to be boring. And a weapon like Pitts with Kellen Moore calling the plays, you could do a lot worse. And honestly, I don't think their defense is that bad. They have decent pieces, but it's just not being put together. They haven't been able to get a defensive coordinator in there that has a freaking clue for at least a few years. But they have so many pieces on the defensive side of the ball. They could maybe use a corner, but Trayvon Diggs did pretty good last year in his rookie season. I only kind of expect him to get better. I think they
Yeah.
got one up on free Chidobe Awuzie. He's a free agent, I believe,
He's
but I
been
don't know.
disappointing.
Yeah, he's been like fine, but it depends on what he's looking for on the market. And the thing is
Mm-hmm.
he's probably been just good enough to get more than the Dallas Cowboys will pay. So
Definitely.
Trayvon Diggs will probably move to be their number one corner, which will probably make him very good for fantasy because I don't think he's quite there yet in terms of being a shutdown guy. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, I love
I
Pitts
agree.
there. I think that just makes that offense that much more unique and special. It's going to be hard as hell to kind of decide where the ball's going most weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean that makes that pumps Dak's value right up and makes him, kind of gives him a little more padding as he comes back from that ankle injury.
We're going to the Giants next, and you know what the Giants need? A wide receiver. They need an Akayoshi warrior at wide receiver, and that man is Rashad Bateman. It's not Jalen Waddle.
Ooh,
Jalen Waddle doesn't have a
okay.
breakout age. Rashad Bateman destroyed the Big Ten West early on in his career with Tyler Johnson, who had 1,400 yards. He put up 1,100 yards. That's impressive to me. I like Rashad Bateman. I want to see a Giants pick a guy who can go up and make a play because they have Daniel Jones at quarterback. They don't have some accurate guy who throws the separators. They have Daniel Jones, and he needs a guy who's a security blanket to him, and that's Rashad Bateman. I don't think they're going to sign a guy in free agency. I think they're going to draft him. Up next is
Yeah,
San
man.
Francisco. You know, I want to get your thoughts on Rashad Bateman over Jalen Waddle now.
I mean, I haven't watched enough film on Bateman to be a expert on him by any means, but I like him. I mean, he's kind of one of those jack of all trades but master of none, in my opinion. He's not
Yeah,
excitingly brilliant at any one thing, but and the thing is that
he
can go one of
reminds you of
two
Michael
ways.
Thomas.
Yeah, that it can go one of two ways. He could be fucking boring for the rest of his career, or he could really sharpen the axe and go to town and be one of these really great wide receivers. Um,
Yeah,
and Waddle, I don't hate that. I'm a big fan of Waddle, but I don't really like him as a true alpha type, which he would have to be in this offense.
I think
Seeing as they
Waddle's
only
more
have
of around a range of 20 to 30 pick based
really
on
okay,
past history of drafts.
sure,
Because look where we saw the speedsters go besides Ruggs. We saw Marquise Brown go pick 25. We saw what's his name last year go Rager. He went, I think, pick 26 or
21,
something.
I think.
21. Okay, 21. So you went
Yeah,
21st overall. So I
still
think
late.
that we're
Yeah,
gonna see Jalen Waddle fall in the 20 range. I think that there's plenty of good wide receivers here, and that we're not going to see a run on wide receivers for a while because it's not a position that's primarily picked in the top 15, top 16. Um, so I think that after these three guys are off the board, that we're going to see a little dry spell on wide receiver for a while.
I can agree with that. I think there's one team in there that's going to be after a wide receiver, but
I
we'll talk
agree,
about that in a minute.
but I think it's coming up around pick 19 to pick 20, though, is it? Or is it pick 13?
Well,
All right, so
in between there.
we don't even have to talk about this pick. Zach Wilson to the 49ers,
Yep.
that smash.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
So next up is the Chargers. Do you want to talk about this one? I don't. I think they need interior offensive linemen and offensive tackles. I would slate them Rashawn Slater because he can play guard or tackle. Very good tackle as well. But there's a guy who's being slept on named Elijah Vera Tucker who can play left tackle. He can play left guard. He can play center. Play anything you need him to. I would slot them Elijah Vera Tucker because he's from USC.
Vera Tucker is stupid good and stupid slept on. This has kind of been, one of my favorite picks for the Chargers is actually going with Kwity Paye, defensive lineman out of Michigan, or defensive end out of Michigan. Kwity Paye is probably he's going to be touted as one of the best defensive ends in this class, but in my opinion, he's not the best defensive end in this class. But I think he can be. I think he's got the potential. He's got some stuff to work on. But the reason I like it is they need another guy on the other side of Bosa. Kwity Paye can kind of do the pass rush. He can also, run, defend pretty okay, not great. But with Melvin Ingram heading out of town, probably via free agency because he's broken, washed anyway. I like them kind of finding his replacement day one with Kwity Paye. He's not going to draw that big coverage right away. But yeah, he's become kind of one of my favorite mock locks to the Chargers. But I like Tucker too. I mean, I'm a fan of both. So
I agree. So the Vikings are on the clock now. I like the Kwity Paye pick. I think he's a very raw talent out of Michigan with a lot to grow. And the Vikings are on the clock. They have so many needs. They need to replace Anthony Harris, if I got his name right, safety. They need to replace Harrison Smith eventually. But yes, it is too early for that. Safeties generally do not go in the top 16, generally do not go in the first round of drafts. There's usually one that sneaks in. There was one year where there's just a run on safeties at the end of the first, and it was just ridiculous. But we are going to give them Jalen Waddle because he fell here, and they need a second wide receiver. Yes, Bob. Yes,
to the Vikings.
Because the Vikings. Jalen Waddle fits this offense. They have Justin Jefferson. They have Adam Thielen, but what do they not have? A third wide receiver. Jalen Waddle fills that role. And he's an elite talent, but he's an elite talent here, and he fell to them. So taking the best player available. Take Jalen Waddle, get your offensive lineman later because the Vikings they don't draft offensive linemen in the first round. I think there was a stat that said before last year that they hadn't drafted an offensive lineman in the first two rounds since like 2003.
It'd be a great time to change that too.
It would be great. It would be great to go get Elijah Vera Tucker or get Rashawn Slater.
That would be Vera Tucker would probably be my pick, or Slater. I'm fine with it. I like Vera Tucker a little more than Slater, but I'm fine with both.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since you nailed that one, I'm going to go ahead and pick. This is probably going to piss some people off, but for me, the New England Patriots' biggest need, quarterback. I'm going with Mac Jones.
Yes.
New England Patriots. He is the closest thing they'll ever find to another Tom Brady. He is similar to that, jack of all trades, kind of master of none. But, looking at his film, when I hopped on the pod to cover Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith, everybody knocks him. He's like, oh, he's throwing to wide open receivers. And it's like, you still got to make the throws. But the one thing about it, too, is there's a lot of plays where they're covered up well, and he puts the ball in a spot. And that's the thing in the NFL is you're putting the ball to a spot more often than you're putting it on the receiver, or those are the more valuable throws, I should say. And I think that's a really slept-on part of his game is that he is very pinpoint accurate. He can make his reads well, and I think he's well coached. And I think going here, get to work with McDaniels under Belichick. I don't know. It seems like
it's perfect.
Too perfect. almost too perfect because
It's
he's
picture
also that
perfect. No, it's
he's that
picture perfect, Bob.
slept
It's
on
picture
unathletic white
perfect.
guy. I think
Yep.
that's it. I don't know where else
Bob,
he
it's
can
picture
go.
perfect. It's a smash pick. I love it. That's what I would have done if I was picking for them. And I'm going to pick defense for the Arizona Cardinals because this is my guy and this is my lover,
JC Horn.
JC Horn.
Hey,
My
I would have picked him
cornerback
too.
one in this class.
Ooh.
A little hot take. I love JC Horn. He's so good in press, man. It is unbelievable. I think he is the most talented cover corner. Most talented corner being Patrick Surtain overall because he has the most experience and he's going to step in right away and be the best. But I think JC Horn has the most room to grow and be an alpha.
I'm with you there.
I think he's very Stephon Gilmore. He is very much Stephon Gilmore in his game. It's fun to watch. And we are up with the Raiders with the Nita edge, interior defensive lineman, interior offensive lineman, and linebacker Bob. Are we giving them Joker?
I actually really like them going with Gregory Rousseau. And I say that because I think he's one of the prospects that needs the most work in terms of, I think he only played one season at Miami. He was great. But when I turned on the film, man, I was not impressed. It seemed like he had a lot of cleanup snacks that were, guys were falling to the ground and he, pushed the last.
He just used his power, man. He's just,
right.
It was all athletic traits for him on tape.
Yeah.
There was no finesse.
Yeah. And the thing is like he's like 6'7", 6'6", 6'7". He's got kind of a lanky frame, which is weird for a D end that was also lined up as a D tackle plenty of the time.
Do you know who he reminds me of?
Who's that?
William Goldston, defensive end for Tampa Bay. Never heard of him?
I've heard of him.
He's 6'7".
I'm an expert on his film.
Played defensive tackle, played defensive end, played a little bit of linebacker, played nose tackle, play anything. And he reminds me of Gregory Rousseau because they were both so physically raw. All they did was get bull rush sacks and clean up sacks, and it was just a little impressive. Yeah. And I think that's fine. I think that Goldston was a day 2 or day 3 pick. But Gregory Rousseau has more tools and more traits than Goldston does.
Yeah, he is the definition of a boomer bust prospect. And my worry is they already let Cleveland Ferrell bust. I don't think he's done yet. I think he's got a shot to impress in another season. And then Max Crosby was a big boom last year in the 4th round as a rookie, as a 4th round pick as opposed to their 1st round pick, Cleveland Ferrell. But I'm curious to see what they do with him. If he can kind of step into that role, and I think he needs to fill out his frame a little bit. But man, I'm curious to see. Like I said, I think it's very Raider-esque to have this player. I think he's more of a day 2 pick, but I think he's going to go in the first solely because of his ceiling. Raiders need a pass rush.
Definitely. Next pick is the Dolphins. Do you think they're going to go offense again, or do you think they're going to go for a defensive player? They have needs on both sides of the ball. I think that there's a really good offensive tackle here for them.
For me, it comes down to offensive tackle. I like is Vera Tucker still out there, and so is Slater.
Vera Tucker and Slater.
Between those two at tackle, guard, whatever you want to put them at, and then it comes down to. This is a spot I like for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, solely because of the versatility he brings. In this defense, you need a lot of that. So this is kind of a spot I like for him, but I do think they really need to put some pieces around Tua since they neglected wide receiver or line with the 3rd pick. They should take advantage and snipe one here.
Yeah. And we're going to give them Elijah Vera Tucker because you know what they did last year is they scouted USC. They took Austin Jackson. So they know who Elijah Vera Tucker is. They know who his strengths, his weaknesses. They've seen him. So we're going to give him Elijah Vera Tucker just because they know his teammate who is, I think, playing left tackle for them right now. So up next is the Washington – well, the team. We're up with the team here.
what the
They
team
have a
is.
lot of needs. Cornerback is one of their main needs. Safety is a need. Linebacker is a need. We did not take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, so this is a perfect spot for him to play behind that front seven. What do you think? I think
I
that
don't
they
hate
should
that.
build with
I don't
this.
hate that at
I
all.
think this
I
is the
think
perfect pick.
if there was a better corner available, like if J.C. Horn was still available, I would love him here. You know, giving them a kind of a
Mhm.
lockdown corner to pair with that defensive line. But right now, there's just not that available for me. So I don't honestly. I haven't mocked that or thought about that there. But no, I actually kind of like that
Mhm.
pick. There's a lot of room there for him to play. You know, and behind that
There is.
line, you know, you can kind of do a little some creative things with him with coverage schemes, blitz schemes. You know, he's going to have wide open lanes to attack the quarterback, and that was something he was great at in college. So honestly, I really like that pick. Actually,
Boom. We did
I
it.
might have a I might have a new
Bears
favorite
up
mock block for
next.
him.
There we go. Bears up next. They're taking on offensive tackle here because Rashad Bateman's gone. And you know who that is? It's Rashawn Slater. He's a
Yep.
good offensive tackle. He's from their state, man. He's from Northwestern. They know him. They know the guy. So they're taking Rashawn Slater. Up next is the Colts. They need a quarterback. They need a cornerback. They need an offensive tackle. They need a wide receiver. They don't really need an interior guy because they have DeForest Buckner and he can do it all himself.
Yeah.
But they do need an edge and they need a linebacker. Uh, Tight end is a little bit of an ancillary need, same with safety. So
Yeah.
is now a time to go for Patrick Jones second?
Ooh.
He
Ooh.
would fit
Um.
perfectly here.
Yeah. I think I like that. I think I like that for him. Because I think they're losing Houston to free agency, if not
Mm-hmm.
retirement. Um, yeah,
And
no,
he
I kind of
fits their
like that pick.
attacking 3-4 defense.
Yeah, I mean he's that guy who he's
Or are they
not getting talked.
4-3 now?
I don't know. He'd be fine either way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, man, I do like that because he doesn't. I don't know. He's going to be fine right away. There's not a lot of. I'd probably prefer corner if there was any that I really liked here, but there's not.
Yeah, but they're gone.
Right, yeah. There's not the quite the value I like here, but yeah, man, that's a solid pick. I usually have him going a little later, but hey, man, I
Mm-hmm.
I trust I trust Ballard. I think this might end up as the Jets pick. If they
Yes.
this might be a Darnold traded for pick, and I still think Jones might be the landing spot, because they need a D end as bad as anybody. So
Yeah, so let's move on to the Titans now. We're almost done. We've got 10 picks left. Let's move on to them. They have a need at edge. They have a need at interior. They have a need at wide receiver because of Corey Davis. They have a need at cornerback. They have a need at guard. They have a need at tight end because Johnny Smith is leaving to free agency. Another need at tackle, interior defensive lineman, apparently. They have a need at everywhere. Uh, their team, besides Derrick Henry, is not doing so well. So is Christian Barmore a good spot here?
I like it. I think
Is it too
if
aggressive?
not at all. Because they need D line more than anything. Their top sack leader was Harlan or Harold Harlan, uh, Harold Landry, and he only had 5.5 sacks
Oh,
last year. They need a
oh
pass
man.
rush. And that's why their corners struggled so bad was because they had no pass rush. Christian Barmore is the rare defensive tackle, the interior defensive line that'll actually probably get after the quarterback more often than not. Super slept on guy, young. He's going to be paired with Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry. He's going to be the third focus on that line. And the thing is about him too is if you don't put two guys on him and your interior defensive lineman is great, he's just going to eat you alive. And he eats double teams too. So I mean he's a guy that I really like. This is a good spot for him, I think. It'll kind of bolster that pass rush and give their corners a little more time, um, or make them have to cover a little less, I should say. Yeah, I really like the pick. I think Barmore is a huge value here. He's my DT1 in this
Yeah.
class, and it's not really close, because he brings an
Yeah.
element of pass rush, which is so rare, and he can run defense too. Not really his strong suit, but along that
Hmm.
line, you don't really need it with those linebackers they have. So I really like the
Sure.
Barmore pick.
Yeah. All I saw was that he originally committed to Temple, and that's all I need to know because Matt Rule ran that Temple program, and
Yep.
they look for athletes. So yeah, it just says he's an athlete. So coming up next is the
Yep.
Jets pick. We had him taking Justin Fields. Justin Fields needs help. Justin Fields needs a true alpha wide receiver. Is Denzel Mims a true alpha wide receiver?
I'm not sold.
Like a fart in the wind. I'm not sold on him either. I really think that a sexy pick here would be Rondale Moore,
Ooh,
but I don't think that he would be used properly. So I'm
yeah.
not going to give him
Well,
a wide receiver here, and we're going to go to the defense.
really? Okay. I would. I
Yeah,
would.
we're going to
I
go
would lean.
defense.
I would lean line, but that's fine. I'm fine with defense too.
Offensive line,
Yeah, I would lean that way. I'd look at. I don't. Is Darisaw still available, right?
Darisaw. Yeah, I actually
Kind of
like
like.
that pick.
I kind of like
I don't
Darisaw
like
too. He'll probably
Kasimi,
play right.
Cosme.
But
I don't like Cosme as much.
Trey
I
Smith
saw
is
his
actually
tape.
a pretty undersold guy too. He doesn't have a lot of tape out there, but he's pretty undersold too. But the
Yeah,
Stillers, what do we got
this
for the
is a
Stillers?
smash Alex Leatherwood pick.
Okay, I was expecting you to
Smash.
say Najee.
No, they're not going
That's
running back.
fine. Hey, I
Najee
agree. They need to.
Harris. I don't think running backs go in the first round in this draft because these running backs were scared to go in last year's draft.
Ooh, I like that. Attacking their character. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. They didn't want to play with the big dogs. So they're not going to get drafted like the big dogs because they aren't the big dogs.
Ooh,
Najee
I love
Harris,
it.
dude, you stayed in school. You didn't go pro. I mean, Travis Etienne, you said you were scared of catching footballs. I know that
He
was
actually said that.
last year, but yeah, he said he was scared. When a
Why?
pass would come his way, he would close his eyes
Why though? Like I feel
because
like
he's not a
isn't he a
receiving back.
really? I thought he was pretty good at pass catching, but
No,
hey, maybe not. Really?
he got better. He got better, but his yards per carry went down. So it's a little interesting for him. He regressed his senior year. So I'm going to go with Alex Leatherwood to the Steelers.
I
Up
don't hate
next
it.
is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and guess who is their head coach?
It's Urban Meyer. So
And who jail sexed his team?
I don't what. Ooh, okay. I don't mind
Took
it. I don't
him
hate it.
took him to church on a Wednesday night and destroyed his night. Rondale Moore makes so much sense for Urban Meyer to draft just based on knowing him. Because what do college coaches do when they come in? They draft the guys that they know the most.
Sure.
And I think that's Rondale Moore. So I think if he has any call, and then Rondale Moore is projected to be a first round pick, which I think he is based on dominator and breakout age. His breakout age of 20% was at 18, and at 15% it was 18 as well because he broke out his freshman year. I think it's Rondale Moore. I mean,
I don't hate it.
you could argue that they need a safety and a corner, but what corner talent is here that's better than Rondale Moore?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because they have Laviska. They already have the element of a dual threat receiver. Let's add a slot receiver with this same element of dual threat ability. It would be so cool to see Urban Meyer's offense with an alpha X wide receiver and Laviska Shenault with a true Y receiver and Rondale Moore playing the Joker role and just getting the screen passes. It'd be sweet.
Interesting pick. I
So
don't hate it. I hope they go O line in the second.
definitely. And Brevin Jordan. But
Let's just focus on O line.
here's a pick that I really like is Davion Nixon. I don't know if you've done any scouting on him, but
None.
he's very good. He's so good. I think he might be my top interior guy, but I think they need to focus on edge and corner here, as well as wide receiver. Rondale Moore would have been my pick for the Browns if I did not take them for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will say that now.
I don't know.
Because
I
Jarvis Landry is getting older and Baker Mayfield likes his separation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We haven't really seen that fall off in Landry yet. I don't know. I think their defense is probably going to be there where they need to go. A couple guys I like. I'm not huge on anybody at corner here right now, but I do like Zaven Collins is a huge upside pick. Nick Bolton is a great linebacker pick. So I'm kind of probably torn between those two. If you're looking at interior D line, actually though, Marvin Wilson is probably a guy I'm looking at. A lot of people are going to be
Hmm.
scared off him after his final season in college, where he really dropped off. Um, but I mean, you look at his freshman and sophomore season of production, and you'll take back that thought pretty quickly. But
Let's get
and
them to
he's
Zaven Collins.
okay. I'm fine
I
with
think
that.
that is a good pick. I think that's a Vikings pick, and that's who they have as their GM and their coach now. That's a guy who can
Sure.
grow into his role. And as a linebacker, they like to grow. They like to get those high upside linebackers who can grow into their role, like Anthony Barr did, and what's his name, Eric Wilson. He,
Yep.
he really developed well. So I think Zaven Collins is the guy they want to develop and grow because he has huge upside in the NFL. He's the
Yep.
guy who was being compared to Luke Kuechly that I thought was ridiculous.
Yeah. Weird thing about
He's good.
Zaven Collins. Well, and I went and looked at his film, and I was expecting to just be blown away, and I wasn't. It was one of those things where it's like this dude has all these stats, and like it's impressive. Like I'm not saying he can't be great, but it did seem like he was the fastest guy on the field, but he still seemed like slow to me. But the thing is, he's a playmaker, and you can't really teach that. That's the thing you just kind of have a knack for. He's one of
Hmm.
those. He's kind of a boomer bust guy for me. But I think this is a good spot for him. Right at the end of the first round, um, early second is kind of where I like him. But at the end of the day, Zaven Collins, he's that high ceiling guy who could end up being the best linebacker in this draft.
Yeah.
And especially, I love him at edge, or like a linebacker hybrid spot, where he drops into coverage every now and then, because I think he can do that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. But I like the spot. It was either if the Browns didn't get him, I would have shipped him off to Baltimore. But that's fine. Browns got him. So
Hmm. So Baltimore, they have a need everywhere basically on their
yeah,
team,
we
man.
we got to do Nate proud.
And I think doing Nate proud here is taking Wyatt Davis or Creed Humphrey, preferably Creed Humphrey, the center from
Reed Humphrey.
Oklahoma.
Yep, 100%.
He's
I love it.
smash pick. You need to sneak a center into your first rounds because there's always a center that goes in the first round. And Creed
Yeah.
Humphrey's
Well,
that
and that's a
center
good.
this year. He
That's a
has leadership.
Yep. It's a good spot. It's at the tail end. That's a great spot for interior O line to start kind of have a little mini run on, and especially on
Hmm.
that team that needs one since whoever left, who had retired, whatever his name was, I can't. Marshall
He
Yanda.
was he
You know,
yeah, Yonda. I loved him.
stud guy. Up and leaves, and the last guy they had was throwing balls over Jackson's head on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, if not more frequent. So Creed Humphrey, I think
Hmm.
is like you said, a smash pick. And interior offensive line, he's going to be a guy day one starter upgrade right away. So I like him a lot.
Hmm. Saints pick, man. It's your call. This one kind of screams two names to me. I'm looking at Jalen Phillips from Miami and Nick Bolton from Missouri. But what are you looking at?
I kind of like Nick Bolton. He's a very similar player to Demario Davis, in my opinion. He's kind of that
Hmm.
see ball, get ball type. Very instinctual. I think he has probably the best instincts out of everybody, linebacker wise, in the draft, in my opinion. Um, but the thing is, he'll see it and he'll go after it, and sometimes he'll make a great play or he'll fucking die by it. And you know what? Honestly, I'm all for that because either you're gonna make a big play or you're gonna fuck up. Either way, at the end of the day, yeah. And he usually ends up on the top side of it. But I really like him. He's a fine run stopper. Not great, but he is kind of a little small at his size. But he can pack on in the NFL, or he looks small. I don't know if he's actually small. I never looked at his actual size, but he looks small on the field. But no, I like him there. So
Since you did my Lions proud, I think I should do your Packers proud, man.
oh, okay, all
I
right.
want to. I want to
You
see your
try.
reaction.
Oh
I want to
boy.
see your reaction. See who's available. There's a couple names here that I like. There's Javonte Williams. There's Kadarius
Outta here.
Toney. But we're going with Samuel Cosme from Texas, the offensive
Oh,
tackle. They need to build
yeah.
on their offensive line. And I know you wanted a linebacker, but it's Samuel
No, I
Cosme
didn't.
for me.
Well,
But
yeah, if a linebacker was available right now, there's none that I'd really be all that interested in. I kind of like Baron Browning to an extent. I like his instincts, and
it's
he's
so
a quick
hard to
guy.
watch his tape, though, dude. They take him
Yeah,
out like
well,
every other snap.
well, his big issue is I think he's a big liability in actually tackling players. Some guy, I don't know if it was Senior Bowl or if it was just around the Senior Bowl, but posted a video of him just blowing up a fullback. And cool, he blew up a fullback. He has a lot of power. But then he goes to tackle the running back and just just doesn't get him. And I'm like, it would have been an even cooler play if he blew up that fullback and then annihilated the running back too. But that didn't happen, and that's probably my biggest knock on him. I like his instincts. I think he's a fine player. But man, his tackling needs some effort. Maximum effort is lacking with him. But,
and speak about
no,
needing effort. The Buffalo Bills need some effort at running back, man. Buffalo Bills need some fresh legs because Zach Moss has some injuries. He looks slow. Devin Singletary is not it. But you know who could be it?
Najee.
You know who could be it?
Najee Harris. You got Javonte, don't you know?
No, it's Najee. It's Najee.
Okay.
Najee makes the most sense. He's a power back. He's the best. It's just it's an unsexy pick, but so sexy for fantasy. It's so sexy for fantasy.
I mean, except for everybody that has Zach Moss and Devin Singletary shares.
Who cares? They're dead weight anyways on your team now. We've known this.
I tend to agree. I think I'd prefer them to go interior line. I like Trey Smith.
Same. Wyatt Davis is my top guy. I have him over Elijah Vera Tucker. And that's who I'm going to have the Chiefs take.
Yep.
Is Wyatt Davis. Because boom, Wyatt Davis makes so much sense here. Wyatt Davis protect the quarterback. Wyatt Davis does just that, man. He is left guard. He's a right guard. He can play a little bit of right tackle in a pinch, but you want him at guard. You want him at left guard preferably. He's really good. Up next, defense. Where are we going?
I feel like they're going to lose Shaq Barrett in the heat of the free agency. So I like to look at edge. Jalen Phillips, Miami draws my attention. Azeez Ojulari also draws my attention as a sneaky upside pick, and a guy who will, need a little polish, but he's got it. He's got that kind of high upside motor that you like to see. So I'd probably be between Jalen Phillips and Ojulari personally. What do you think? Oh,
we went with Ojulari. We went with Ojulari because, he has the most upside. He's the most bendy rusher in this class. Makes a lot of sense. Todd Bowles is going to develop him really well. I think that's the best landing spot for Azeez Ojulari is Tampa Bay. I really like it. So I had to go that because I think Jalen Phillips could get scooped up in the second round by a team like Atlanta and they could build their defense.
Jalen Phillips is a guy that I think Tennessee might go after in the first round, just because they've proven that they do not give a flying F if you have red flags, if you have the talent and the potential. They're all about it. They took Jeffrey Simmons with the 19th pick a couple years back when he had domestic violence issues and whatnot. And he was coming off an ACL too. So, he had all the red flags in the world to be taken at 19, pretty impressive. And then Jalen Phillips, he has his concussion issues. Only played a handful of games in the last couple of years, but he has that kind of upside. And if they're looking for somebody who can bolster that pass rush, I don't hate the pick. I think Barmore makes a little more sense in my eyes, but yeah.
Yeah, the one that I would have looked at was Davion Nixon if they went interior guy, because I think he's the best interior guy, and they're losing Sue. They're losing some other guys that were starting for him and giving him meaningful snaps. And if they could afforded to bring back Barrett, it would have been nice. But I don't know if they can bring back Barrett, and edge is the most one of the most drafted spots in the back half of the first round. So I think that Ojulari is a good pick there. And you hardly see any interior guys get picked in the first round. So I think that that's a fine pick. I'm going to send this draft over to the Dynasty Rewind guys and see what they think. But that is a show. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll bring you more. And thank you for subscribing to our Patreon. We really appreciate you guys. And it's good to have you in the family. So with that, take care. We're getting a lot of snow tonight. So I hope you guys are safe. Peace out.
Be safe.